Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rosie and this is my husband Jeremy.
Hello.
So we have a podcast and we've had a podcast for 2 years now, and I've wanted to do a video to explain how to create a podcast, because since creating ours we've helped 2 or 3, maybe even more,
Bunch of people.
friends create their own podcasts. So I thought I would just do a video and help explain to everybody else who might want to know. So we're hoping to cover everything you might want to know. So just as a quick overview, we're going to be talking about how to start and your theme and your name and your branding, things like that. We're then going to be talking about equipment. Next, we're going to be talking about which software we recommend using. Then we're going to talk about how to put your podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, all of the podcast places that I don't even know about. And then we'll be sharing some tips as well on how to get started, how to make sure that you continue, how to try and grow. So all of that information is coming. So even though I said that we have a podcast, it's more like Jeremy who has the podcast. I basically turn up once a week and talk to somebody. Jeremy's the one who organises the podcast meetings, the conversations. He does the editing, the uploading. You've sorted out all the branding. He's basically done everything. I just turn up once a week. So I've got him on here because I'm going to learn some things too. I have no idea how he's done all of this. So we're going to get started with the theme. So for starters, you definitely need to find something that you want to talk about a lot.
Yeah. Before you start, you have to keep in mind that podcasting is a marathon. It's a very long-term game. Apart if you have a big audience already, it is very unlikely that you're going to have a quote-unquote successful podcast with huge numbers on the first few months or the first year, to be honest.
Yeah.
So before you get into it, you need to have the mindset that this is going to be something you're going to be doing for years. If it's just a week's or month project, it's probably not the right thing to do, to be totally honest.
I mean, you could try it for a week or a couple of months, but it is like a long game.
Yeah, if you want... So there is a statistic actually that something like 80% of podcasts that get started stop after 7 or 8 episodes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you need to be very passionate about whatever you're going to be talking about, because if you really want to be serious about it, it's a long-term game.
Yeah.
That's really important to have in mind before anything else. Also, pick a topic that very interests you and something that you know you're going to be able to talk about, like I said, for weeks, months, and years. You want to be consistent with it. You want ideally to release a new episode every week. And, you need a topic that has enough matter and substance to talk about it for that long. Because if you pick something very random and very, very, very niche, you might run out of ideas after a few months. So something to keep in mind also is, pick a topic that can be broad. Yeah.
The other thing to think about is if you want guests or not. Now, there are certain podcasts where there's just one person talking about their life, or there's maybe a group of friends talking about situations or whatever it is. We have chosen to have guests on every week. So there are about 10 episodes, I guess, by now of just us two on our own. Yeah. But otherwise, the other podcasts have been with guests, which is super interesting because it kind of gives you constantly new content. It also means you have struggles in terms of getting people. So there are pros and cons, but that's the way that we've chosen, is to interview other people. So the podcast, by the way, is called Just Interesting People. We are now on YouTube, so I'll leave that link down below. I'll also leave Spotify or whatever down below as well. But yeah, so we chose to interview people, just interesting people. So we talk to ordinary people about their lives, whether it's, good or bad, ups and downs, successes, failures, all that good stuff is on our podcast. So we kind of have had about 2 years experience now. And I think we know enough now to help other people and to make it a lot easier for you than it was for us.
Also, something to keep in mind is, and this is something maybe I would do differently for us, pick a niche if possible. And I think you will have more chances to be, again, quote unquote, successful. By that I mean have a lot of downloads. The broader the topic, the harder it is to market and to, find people who like what you're talking about. Just interesting people, our niche is people, which is great. That means we have an unlimited amount of guests potentially on the podcast. But it also means that if I want to market on Facebook, for example, it's really hard to find a Facebook group where I'm going to be able to get people attention, because one day we're going to be talking to, someone about fitness. The week after is going to be something about business. The week after is going to be about travel. The week after is going to be about, DJ, something random, And it's very hard. Well, first, maybe, people will be interested in one episode, but not the other one, because it's different topics. So our retention might not be as good as it could be with a very niche podcast. And also, yeah, it makes it a bit harder to target people in terms of marketing. I can't join a Facebook group about fitness because maybe only 10% of our episodes are about fitness, stuff like that. So that's something to keep in mind also about the topic is a niche is a bit better and a bit easier, I think, to grow the podcast.
The other thing as well is in terms of monetization. So we don't run ads on our podcast. It annoys Jeremy when you listen to podcasts, you don't want to do it. But I know that a lot of people do want to monetize their podcast. So if you talk only about fitness, every single week you're talking about fitness, you could then potentially partner with a gym or, Nike or...
Yeah, it'd be easier to find a sponsor.
Like a protein shake, whatever it is, you can find a sponsor because all of your content is around fitness. Whereas because like Jeremy just said, our content is very varied, very wide, it's kind of anything and everything goes. It's going to be hard, not that we would have it, well, at the moment we don't want adverts, but if at some point we decide we do, it might be a little bit harder to find somebody who would want to sponsor us, bearing in mind that our videos and our podcasts are very varied and we talk about everything.
Yeah.
So it could also help you in the future in terms of monetization and things like that.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. You don't have to, and again, don't start the podcast with the idea of making a lot of money, to be honest, because that's not guaranteed and anything. Do something that you like and you're passionate about, but if you can niche it down a little bit, I think it'll be strategically a good move, to be honest.
The next thing I want to talk about before we move on to equipment is about your name and your branding. So thinking of a catchy name is quite important. I think honestly it's something that people can remember and relate to and kind of know what you're talking about. So ours is Just Interesting People. It's literally just interesting people. So try and have your name something to do with your podcast, maybe something a little bit catchy or memorable. And the other thing is branding. So to begin with, we created our own logo on Canva. It was a little bit shite. I'll leave it down here so you can have a look at it.
And stock photo I found online and stick a name and that was it.
Yeah, it was pretty basic. But then Jeremy found someone on Fiverr. Now, if we can find his account, I will leave it linked down below. But it was about $80 for a logo, for...
all the social media kit.
All the
Facebook
stories.
cover, everything that you need to advertise on any platform.
Which we would highly recommend doing because $80 was... It can be a lot of money to some people, not a lot to other people. It was a bit of an investment for us. It was a bit like, okay, well, it's a lot of money, but should we do it? And we kind of did it. And it's actually been amazing because we have a clear brand now. We have very bright colours. I feel like you can see our podcast and it's us.
Yeah.
It doesn't blend in.
Way more legit also,
it looks way more professional. Our website looks a lot better. Our Instagram, our stories, everything just looks way more professional. So it's not something that we did right away. I think we did it after about a year.
Yeah, it was the 1 year anniversary rebranding.
Yeah, so it's something that we kind of waited a year to decide if we were actually going to carry on with podcasting, if it's something we enjoy doing, and then we invested in doing that. So that's up to you whether you want to do that at the beginning or not, but it was something that we chose to do, and I'm glad we did.
Yeah.
Is that everything?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move on to equipment. This is where Jeremy takes over now, because the rest of the video is going to be him talking.
Right. So where do we start? To start a podcast, you need a microphone. That helps.
Yeah.
So the first piece of equipment I would recommend is, a microphone. You don't have to get a fancy mic, to be honest. You could, if you want to start with your AirPods or stuff like that, you could. I would recommend investing in one. They're fairly cheap, to be honest. This one that I got is a Samsung Q2U, and on Amazon it's $70 at the moment, American dollars. And it comes with the mic and a little tripod, and also all the cables that you need to connect it to your laptop or other equipment I'm going to be talking about. I've made research online, and this mic came in pretty much every single reviews I've read. In terms of price and quality, it was the best ratio. And it's been 2 years, we didn't change. We're still using the same. And I think a lot of people are using them. You can get a Rode mic stuff that is more fancy. It's also 3 times the price. Maybe it's going to sound better. To be honest, my ear is not good enough to hear a difference between a $100 microphone and $300 microphone.
I think the thing is as well, though, because like I said, with the branding thing, we didn't know how long we would go on for. We didn't know if we'd enjoy it.
Yeah.
It was kind of just a new fun project to try. So we just bought a mic that would do.
At the beginning, start with something that you can afford.
Yeah, even if it
it's
is
your
microphone, your headphones that come with your phone, anything just to record the sound, because that's the whole thing. I do think sometimes though with podcasts, if the sound isn't great, you might lose people because if it's not great to listen to. But I wouldn't say that. I mean, these are they're brilliant for now.
Yeah.
But who's to say that at some point, if we ever have like a studio room and a podcast room and like have all fancy equipment, maybe we'll upgrade. But this has been absolutely brilliant.
And I would
the
upgrade
price
maybe for
point-
practicality, but not sound quality.
No, I think it's been good. Yeah.
So I would highly recommend them. We will link everything.
Everything can be linked down below. So all like websites, product links, everything that we use is linked down below. So you can go ahead and find those. I'm also going to be doing timestamps, so you can, if you want to skip ahead and find out the information that you need, I'm going to be doing that as well, so you'll be able to find everything.
But we have 3 of them, and they're great. They come with the wire with the USB to connect it to your laptop if you're using your laptop to record, and they also come with a XLR wire to connect it to
No idea what that is.
proper sound recording device, like
Okay.
a real mixer or stuff like that. This is what basically legit professional people use because it's better quality. But everything is included in a box, so for $70, highly recommend it.
Jeremy just mentioned that we bought 3, and initially Jeremy would have a microphone, I'd have a microphone, and then our guest would have a microphone. And actually what we found is that we can share a microphone because we're not talking at the same time. So we have one in between us, and then we kind of lean forward and that person talks. So I wouldn't necessarily say that every single host needs one if you're hosting together.
You
like
don't
we
have
do.
to. But it's also, I guess, if you're just with friends and not in a relationship, maybe you don't want to be stuck like that for 2 hours,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to, but you can if you want to.
Yeah.
It's not mandatory. This is the most important piece of equipment that you want to get, to be honest, and that could be the only one that you need actually. Everything else then is going to be based on how you're going to be recording and the format of your podcast and how you're going to be recording. But the other piece of equipment that we use is this Zoom PodTrack P4, and it's basically a recording device. So you plug the mics to it and you press record, and everything is going to be recorded on a SD card that's stored in there. The reason we got this is we sometimes record episodes when we travel, when we don't have any internet or anything like that, so we need to be able to record offline. And this is the best item that I found. Once again, this is $200 on Amazon, $200. I actually got it on eBay for $150, so I would recommend to look around. You can probably find it for less than $200, to be honest. It's a fairly new product. It was released 1 year ago in 2021, so it's good. It's really plasticky, but honestly, it's good. It's been in my bag traveling in Peru, for 8 weeks, and
it kind of looks like an
Still there.
80s. I don't know. It looks
Big
super.
fun.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks super 80s, like the color of it and all the
Yeah.
knobs and things.
but it works really well, to be
yeah.
honest. It looks scary, but it's actually very easy. You plug your mics here. You can have 4 mics. You adjust the sound of the mic if someone is very loud. You can mute people. This is the output, and you press record here, and that's it. So it's very easy. And if you're planning to record on the road, this is the best item I would recommend. Once again, you can find more expensive one. This Zoom brand is the reference in terms of recording devices for podcast. They have amazing items with more mics that you can plug and stuff like that. You can pay. This is the cheapest one. This is a basic one. You can pay up to $800 or $900
Wow.
for ones, but they're very, very good quality. It's professional equipment, this brand. So highly recommend that if you want to record on the road without laptop, internet. You put that in your backpack basically, and you can record an episode anywhere.
Especially even if you had one mic as well, you could
Yeah.
talk and then pass to somebody else if
That's
you're
literally all you
backpacking or
need.
something.
So it doesn't take much space,
Yeah.
and you could record anywhere that you want.
Yeah.
So this is really for the podcast itself. If you decide to include the video element in your podcasts to publish it on YouTube, you don't have to. But if you want to, well, obviously you're going to need a camera. You can have any sort of camera that you want. We are using our phones, our iPhones. This is more than enough, I think, personally. The quality is great, those days. If you have a DSLR, if you have a mirrorless camera already and a tripod, you could put that in front of you and use that. So this is totally up to you. I would not recommend to invest in a big camera when you start at all. I would say start with your phone, start with what you have. The quality is going to be good enough for sure. And then worry about worry about improving and upgrading your equipment later down the line if you're actually, sticking with it. Because
I think the thing with using your phone, so we bought some lights and I tested them. I'll leave the video up here if I remember. The one that I kept ended up sending back because it didn't work great either. But what we've just been using is my phone. So we'll have the torch on my phone facing us, and then Jeremy's phone recording. And I think lighting is quite important with video. You want to be able to see yourself, and I think also, especially if you're using an iPhone, the quality can be lessened if you've not got enough light. So try and have some sort of light on your face, and then you can video with the iPhone, and that works quite well.
it's something very specific to us also, is because you could just record during the day.
Yeah.
We tend to record late at night because of time
Time
difference
zones,
based on where you are. So depending on your podcast, again, this is not going to be relevant to you.
The other thing as well, though, is that we did just audio podcasting for 2 years, and then we've only introduced video about a month ago.
Yeah, we have 3 episodes or 4 episodes, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not something that you have to do to start off with. It's kind of a choice, like you either do or you don't, and either way is absolutely fine. Like podcasting generally is just audio. But I'm one of those people that wouldn't necessarily listen to a podcast. I like watching people and watching the emotions and people talking. So I prefer video, so I'm glad we're doing it, but it's not essential to do.
This is something to consider because it's twice as much editing, rather than just editing the audio, you're going to have to edit the video. You have to worry about how you look. You have to tell your guest that it's going to be recorded.
And try and get them to have good lighting.
Yeah. So, it's more faff, it's more things. And you need to consider that it's going to take a little bit more time and a little bit more logistic. So you don't have to start with that. Like I said, many millions of people in the world listen to podcast audio only when they go for a walk or when they drive, commuting to work, rather than listening to the radio, they listen to podcasts. So it is absolutely fine to just do audio only if you don't want to show yourself also.
Yeah.
So, you don't have to. But if you do, start with your phone, I would say. Get a tripod for $15 on Amazon, and that's it. That's more than enough.
So how do you record with your phone? I've seen you do it, but I don't understand, because you use Riverside.
Yeah, we'll
talk about that
after.
later.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
This is more about software than this is something else. But
Okay.
You can just do it. That could be your podcast equipment.
Yeah.
The mic, the camera, and that's it.
Yeah.
If it was just you. So
That's true, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. In terms of pure equipment that you need, that's it really. A mic, something to film yourself if you want to do YouTube.
A laptop.
And you're going to need a computer to edit, but otherwise that's all you need. You could get fancy lighting, you could get better equipment, you could get, if you have a house where you can actually have a little studio, you could have, one of those articulated arm
Yes, you can
for
move
the
it
thing,
around.
so you can move that around, but you could have things to block the sound. But again, all that is mandatory. You don't need it at the beginning, and I would not recommend to empty your savings account on equipment if you don't know you're going to be carrying on for more than a few weeks,
The other thing is headphones. So we plug it in, don't we?
Yeah.
So if you try and record a podcast without headphones, you're going to hear a lot of echoing. And
Well, again, it depends on your format, actually. If you're going to have guests, if you record
Yeah.
on your own, you don't need it. But if you have guests on the phone, especially remotely, using your computer, it's better to have headphones so you don't have too much echoing. So, if your laptop speakers are very loud, your mic is going to pick the sound, so it's going to create an echo. So that's why I've got headphones. Nothing especially required. Rosie's using basic Samsung one that she got. I had this, I'm using it. Anything will do, to be honest.
Yeah.
The less leaking, I would say, that you have, the more isolation, the better. But again, don't spend your money on that. This is not really important.
No, but
Use whatever you have at the moment, it'll be fine.
Yeah, but if you do interview guests, I'd recommend getting headphones. We've done it once or twice without, and it is a pain for you to try and get rid of the echo and muting people and all the rest of it. So try and get your guests to have headphones as well. And that's
it's better.
Yeah.
And a little thing, if you have a co-host like us, it's 2 of you, and you want to hear at the same time, get this little thing at the airport or on Amazon or whatever. It's a little like jack splitter, so you can plug 2 different set of headphones, and then you can plug that to your laptop or to whatever you're using, and you don't have to fight. It's much easier, and it probably costs nothing. So So
Yeah, I'll link
highly
one
recommend
below.
this little thing. I have no idea where I got it for, to be honest, so I can't recommend it, but probably some airport somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was a great investment. So about the softwares, everything is going to depend on what kind of podcast you're doing. The first possibility is you yourself just chatting, and you don't have any guest, you don't have a co-host. This is the first option. In this case, you record everything on a camera or your phone, and you have your file, and it's ready to be edited. And I'm going to be talking about the editing in a bit, but that's all you need, and you don't really need to invest in any recording software or stuff like that. Then if you're planning to record with guests, if it's gonna be in person only 100%, then this recording device is gonna be great to record everything in your house, in a studio. You're gonna have everything, and then you don't need any software to record. It's gonna be just on the editing side. However, if like us, you're doing and you will be doing a lot of remote interviews, which honestly I probably think you will at some point, because there's so much guests you can have around where you live.
Yeah.
So you will at some point probably end up doing remote interviews, and this is where it becomes where you're gonna have to make choices. You could use Zoom, that's probably the first thing you think about. But actually, Zoom is not that great, because the audio quality and the video quality, if you record the video as well, it's not going to be that great. Why? Because it's all depending on your network. You're going to sound great as a host, but the person on the other side, if you or its internet is bad, you're going to hear the sound and whatever.
Yeah, and the
things,
video crackling.
and the video freezing and stuff, because it's recorded through the internet. So you're very relying on your connection. So you could do it, and many podcasts are doing it, but it's not what I would recommend, to be honest. I would recommend to invest in a software where you can record the audio and the video, if you want, locally on each side. So the first one I would recommend, if you're doing
so what that means is, if we're talking to somebody in England and we're talking to somebody who's in Africa or Australia, it doesn't matter where they are, it means that our audio file is recorded on our network, on our computer. Their audio file is recorded on their internet, on their computer, and then it's uploaded online. So rather than getting a bad connection where sometimes you're going to hear the thing, it's recorded on their side and then uploaded from there. So you don't get any of the crackling, any of the kind of like disconnection
network
things.
issue.
Yeah. So it's really great in terms of audio and video as well.
Yeah. And it's basically going to sound like you're in the same room, potentially. You're not going to have anything network related. So if you're going to be doing audio only, which we did for 2 years, again, many options. I'm going to recommend what I've found and what I've used. The software that I would recommend for audio only is a software called Cast. The link is tryca.st, so trycast with the dot between A and S. And this is what we just said. This is recording the audio locally on your computer and then uploading it to the cloud, and then you have a very good sound quality. What's amazing about this tool, it's not the most popular one, honestly. When you look at reviews, it doesn't show up very often, but I would highly, highly recommend it, because what's great is that it's actually including the recording, the editing, and the hosting. And I'm going to come to these two parts, but basically it's an all-in-one software, and that could be the only software that you need to pay for your podcast, which is what we did, again, for 2 years. That was my go-to place for everything related to podcast. Makes your life much easier when you don't have to deal with 25 different softwares. It's, I would say, fairly affordable, to be honest. They have a free plan for a month, so you can try it for a month, and then you need to upgrade. I was using the first payment plan, which is $10 a month, and it comes with 10 hours of recording time. A lot of podcast software speak in recording hours, and they charge you based on that. What does that mean? If you're going to be doing a weekly episode, and each episode is going to be about 20 minutes, that's about 4 hours. That's about an hour and 20 of content a month.
Yeah.
We do an episode a week, but our episodes are between an hour and 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So I need way more minutes available than that. So for $10, I was getting 10 hours. So, I don't think I've ever exceeded it, to be
Yeah, I think
honest.
that worked for us.
So that was a perfect thing. But again, like, pay based on what you need. Don't overpay. Don't buy too much for no reason. Because, based on the format of your podcast, you might not need more than 5 hours. So think about that. Think about what kind of episode you're going to be doing. You can change anyway later, if you change your format. But again, don't spend money that you don't need to spend.
The other thing, with TriCast is that it's only audio. So we would record using that, but we'd also send a Zoom link so that we could actually see people. So we started the podcast before the pandemic and we would do it in person. And then we switched to doing it online. And the first 2 or 3 episodes we did was with somebody who we could hear them, but you couldn't see them. And oftentimes you can't quite tell if someone's finished talking. You can't quite tell their expressions, if they're happy, if they're sad. And we find it just works a lot better when you can actually see somebody's face and talk to them face to face rather than just the audio. So I'd highly recommend, if you're going to do TriCast, make sure you send a Zoom link as well, just so you can have that connection with the person and actually see them talking as well, and they can see you talking. You can see when someone's about to ask a question or about to answer something. It just makes the conversation flows a lot easier, because it was hard doing it without the video.
Yeah, and we did FaceTime, we did WhatsApp on our phone and everything, and then I thought the Zoom was the easiest one.
Especially because everyone knew Zoom by the time we started doing that with the pandemic and everything.
Helped, but I would highly recommend, even if you do audio only, to have some visual feedback. This is just going to be for you, but
we didn't record it. It
will be much better for the conversation to flow, like you said. So this is TriCast, the software I would recommend to record the audio only. If you're planning to do audio and video, which is what we started to do recently, I would recommend using Riverside. Riverside.fm is the website, and it's very, very, very good. Again, they have different pricing based on your needs. It goes from $7.5 a month up to $25 a month. And it's based on, like I said, the amount of recording you need. So you can get 2 hours for $7.5 a month. You can get 5 hours for $15 a month. Or you can get 15 hours for $25 a month. So this is the plan that we picked. 5 hours could be good sometimes if we have 4 episodes of an hour, but we usually get a bit chatty and we would be tight, to be honest.
Yeah, and I also don't want to have to be like, oh, sorry, we need to end the conversation because we've only got this many hours on the podcast. Like, no, we want to flow.
So that's why, I've got the most expensive plan, and it just works for us. But again, based on your need, it might be different.
I think it also means, so when this was before we started doing video, but for example, if we're going traveling for 3 weeks and you need to pre-record 3 weeks worth of content, you need to do a lot of filming within that month. So make sure you have enough time on your
available to
be able to pre-record things and try and catch up and get ahead of yourself a little bit for traveling or for holidays or whatever.
And you can actually change plan.
Okay.
So you could have the 5 hours one, and if for any reason you need to record more during a month, just upgrade and then go back to the normal one.
So it's not like a 12-month subscription, it's month by month.
Yeah, it depends. You can pick. It's cheaper if you pay per year, but you could also just pay monthly, and you can change it every month. So it's up to you.
Okay.
Riverside is great because it's exactly like Cast in terms of audio recording. It's local, but also you have the video. It's all integrated. The platform looks pretty great, to be honest.
Yeah.
As a host, you control everything. You can see if the person is using a mic. You can see if the person is using headphones or not. You have all the information on the back end. And everything is uploaded in real time. So for us, so far, we had a good internet. So, we are pretty much at 99% uploaded every time. If on the other side, the person has a bad connection, the upload might take longer, like what happened to us yesterday. But they have a very good system also in case the person closed the browser before the upload is completed. They just have to open a special link and the thing is going to carry on. So they're very, very good. I've got to say that their support is good as well. I got in touch with them once because I had a question and they replied within a few hours. So, something to appreciate.
If you do use Riverside, like Jeremy just mentioned, you do need to make sure that the other person has finished uploading their side of the conversation, because otherwise you might lose it.
The same with Cast, to be honest.
Yeah.
Everything is uploaded on real time. You need to make sure before you close everything that all the data is uploaded. Otherwise, it could be lost.
It's happened a couple of times where I've had to say
Yeah.
to them, do you mind just leaving the computer on for a couple of hours for it to upload? And then we'll say goodbye and we'll close the video and things, but then just keep it on to upload it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'll lose that conversation. So just be aware of that.
And
as
I've
well.
got to say that Cast didn't really have a backup for that. If you close it, you close it. Like,
we lost
you're screwed.
2 conversations, I think.
When Riverside has a link to get things back, so they are a little bit better on this side in terms
safer.
of recovery if anything happens to you. Yeah, again, based on how you're going to be running your podcast, pick the software that you want. If you record just you locally, audio only, without the camera and stuff like that, you could also just use, your memo app on your computer or on your phone. That's enough. Again, if it's just you talking to someone, you're going to get an MP3 file and you can upload it, and that's it. You don't need anything fancy. But yeah, I would recommend one of those two platforms. They are really extremely reliable, and I'm really happy with them.
So when you use these, do you export it and then does it save a file on your computer?
Everything is saved on the cloud, and then based on what you want, you can download all the episodes if you want. So I download everything just to back it up.
Yeah.
But
you don't need to do that to put it on Spotify.
Well, I'm going to come to it.
I love jumping ahead, don't I?
In a minute, yeah. We were into recording.
I've got so many questions.
So once your episode is recorded, you're going to have to edit your episode. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do much editing. This is completely up to you. I would recommend at least to have, a little music at the beginning and at the end, just to make it good. You could have also a little introduction at the beginning. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about X, Y, Z. This guest is from blah, 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 her name, and stay tuned, leave a review, blah, 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 and then jump into the episode. It's to create a little hook, at the beginning of the episode, so people stay. So in terms of editing, you can decide to chop all the all the silence, or not. We don't do anything because it's fine, we talk as we talk. But some people do that. Some people just chop everything and the episode sounds just perfect and there's no
Dogs
wrong word or whatever.
Yeah.
So in terms of editing, it's going to vary based on what you want, to be honest. And it's totally up to you. I would recommend whatever you do to at least listen to your episode once. Don't just record and then publish, because you never know if something went wrong.
Sorry.
If something went wrong or anything like that. So I would recommend to at least listen to it once. And if you don't want to touch it, don't touch it. But if you know that, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's the minimum, I would say. If you want to put music at the beginning and at the end or whatever you want, you need to make sure you use royalty-free music, because otherwise you could get flagged for copyright infringement on Spotify and other platforms on YouTube. I personally picked royalty-free music on YouTube. I went in a YouTube studio in the back end of YouTube. They have a library of music. I listened to 10 of them and I picked 3. We listened to them and we picked one, and we've been sticking with it since the beginning.
You could also type into, so with some of my YouTube videos, I use just copyright-free music. So you can just type that into into YouTube, copyright-free music, find something and trim the section that you want. Yeah. I'll leave a link to the YouTube converter that I use, but basically you take the link of the YouTube video, put it on this website, and you can download an MP4, so it'll be MP3, sorry, so it'll just be the audio that then you can put on your YouTube videos or on your podcast or whatever. So it's super easy to find music. Yeah,
I personally cut it to 15 or 20 seconds, but some people have music in the background during the entire episode. Just no right way, wrong way to do it. It's personal preference. Just whatever you do, make sure it's royalty free. Otherwise, you're gonna get in trouble, and your episode will be flagged and taken down. Actually, that's the only thing to really consider. To edit the audio, you have multiple options. If you went for Cast, like I said, the great thing is that they include everything within the subscription. So for $10 a month, you're gonna record, but you can also edit within the platform. So you don't have to download the episode because it's uploaded there already, and all you have to do is edit them. So you can cut, add music, add the little piece of sound if you forgot about something. You can mute people and stuff like that. You can do whatever you want to remove the to cut pieces, to things like that. So they have everything integrated, which makes it, once again, very easy and practical. If you're using something else, Riverside or your phone or anything else, you're gonna have to edit using a specific software. If you have a Mac, I would recommend to use GarageBand. It's free. It's on every Mac when you buy it, so it's available. So you just have to put your audio there, and then you can listen to it, and you can trim and mute and adjust the sound and stuff like that.
All these things have a little tutorial as well, don't they, about how to use it
Yeah.
the first time?
YouTube is your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't go into detail of how to use every software because they're all different, to be honest. But yeah, they're very easy because they're free. They're usually very user friendly, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, but what you want to be able to do is to cut PCs, mute PCs, make things shorter, stuff like that. So on Mac, GarageBand. If you run on Windows, the best one that's free is called Audacity, audacityteam.org. It's free, it's the most popular sound editor out there, recommended by everyone. So yeah, those are the two that I would recommend to edit the audio. If you're doing video, you can use, if you have a Mac, iMovie, more than enough. This is what Rosie used for her YouTube, and it's enough. I've got Final Cut Pro, but it's just because I have it, so I might as well use it. But I won't say that I need it for that. I'm not doing anything that justify having Final Cut Pro. Final Cut Pro is like $300, but just I bought it last year, so I might as well use it. iMovie is more than enough. On Windows, to be honest, I have no idea. I didn't use a Windows computer for 10 years. Back in the days, it was Windows Movie Maker.
I think that's probably still a thing.
If it still exists, go for that. If it's not there anymore, I'm sure they have some sort of equivalent.
Yeah.
But yeah, any video recording, video editing software is fine. Again, you're probably not going to do anything fancy. You just want to trim video, remove bits, and add musics and some tracks here and there.
Yeah.
So you're not doing, sound effect or visual effects and stuff like that.
No.
You could, but it's probably not what you're going to be doing at the beginning. So take what's easy, and yeah, there's plenty of video editor out there, to be honest, that you'll find for free. You don't need to pay for it at the beginning. Once again, everything is available for free at the middle. I think it's more than enough. To put your podcast online, you're gonna need a hosting company, a hosting website. If you do video, YouTube is your best friend. Just create a YouTube channel, upload on YouTube, and that's it. But for the podcast itself, so if you want the podcast to be available on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, on Google Podcast, on Amazon Music, on Stitcher, on Overcast, on TuneIn, on whatever else there are out there. There's a million of them. You need a host. So what does that mean? This is a website where you're going to be uploading your tracks, your episodes. You're going to be uploading information about your podcast. So you're going to put your picture there. You're going to put a description. You're going to say it's a weekly episode. You're going to write description about the episode, stuff like that. And you're going to press publish, and it's going to go to all the applications that you want. Again, if you have Cast, it's integrated. Within the $10 a month, they have a publisher hosting service. So when you sign up for it, they're going to ask you for the name of your podcast, for the description, for your cover. Every time you edit an episode and you click on publish, they're going to ask you, okay, what's the title of the episode? What is the description? And it's all integrated. So again, super easy.
And then straight away from there, it goes on Spotify and all the rest of it.
Next step.
Oh, okay. Right, we're not there
Next
yet.
step. It will. Yeah, I mean, the answer is yes once you set it up.
Okay, right, sorry. Okay.
But yeah, so the hosting is again, Cast is great for that, for audio only, because it's all integrated and you have everything on one platform. That's what we used for 2 years. Since we moved to Riverside to record, we moved the hosting to a website called Red Circle. The reason was I could have stayed with Cast actually, but I didn't see the point of paying $10 a month where there are some free hosts out there. And so just to save a little bit of money, I did that. The big name, if you type podcast host on Google, the first name that's going to come up is Buzzsprout. It's the biggest platform recommended by everyone. They're apparently the best. I've never used them, but they have an amazing reputation online. I just didn't see why I should pay to host my podcast when I've got over tools to do it for free. So I've never used them, but you won't go wrong with them. They're recommended by everyone, Buzzsprout. I'm personally using a new one called Red Circle. They have multiple plans, but actually they have a free plan that allows you to have unlimited hosting, unlimited episode for how many hours that you want. When Buzzsprout, again, you have to pay based on how many hours you are uploading.
Okay.
So because we have a long podcast, we are paying a little bit extra on Riverside, and we would have to pay a little bit extra on Buzzsprout. So the bill at the end of the month could be, a bit big. So that's why I went for this one. Red Circle have a great free plan. So far, I don't need anything else. But if I want to, I could upgrade and pay $10 a month to have detailed analytics, to run ads through the hosting and stuff like that. But honestly, once again, when you start, not necessary. You could do it for free. So what that means is basically, if you're like a solo podcaster, your podcast could cost $0. You could record with your memo app on your phone, edit it through Audacity or GarageBand, upload it to Red Circle, and you won't pay a dime, basically.
Okay.
You only have to pay when you want to do recordings that are online. You need a recording tool for that. But yeah, like you could have a podcast for free, basically, depending on what you're doing. So yeah, money is not a reason to stop you starting a podcast, to be honest. It's as easy as a YouTube channel, You don't have to pay if you don't want to. There are ways around it. The podcast is costing us something like $25 a month to record, basically. That's all we're paying, just to give you an idea. So it doesn't have to be expensive, an expensive hobby. So yeah, the hosting is where you're going to be uploading your MP3, putting the title, putting the description, putting all the link if you want to, and publishing, scheduling the episode. All the host has a scheduling feature, which means that if you are going away for a month and you're stacking up episode before your vacation, you can schedule the episode to be dropped, to be published automatically on Monday this week and Monday a week after and whatever you want. So this makes it really easy. They also have analytics to see where people are listening from, how many downloads you're getting per episode, which apps people are using, which is interesting. If people are using Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever.
Like how they listen to your...
Yeah, if it's from mobile or computer. So you can have a pretty thorough analytics stuff about how people are listening to your podcast, which is quite cool. It's always fun to see you've been listened in 30 countries or whatever,
It's funny when you say like we're in the top 10 in Taiwan, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, there's plenty of things out there to... Yeah, it's just fun. I mean, it's not very important, but it's just cool to see people are listening to it all around the world. This is what you need, basically, to record a podcast. So when you start, you're going to have, depending on the platform that you use, you're going to have to submit your podcast to some applications. I'm going to it.
Okay, this is the bit I have no idea about.
So if you're using Cast, you're going to have to do this job manually. So you're going to have to go to the Apple Podcast website. I'm going to leave it linked down there. It's called podcastconnect.apple.com. You're going to sign up. They're going to ask you name of your podcast, your name, your picture, blah, blah, blah. And it takes about 24 to 48 hours to be approved for the podcast to be published. So plan it in advance. Then you do the same on Spotify. So they have a website called podcasters.spotify.com. You also should do it on Google Podcasts. So podcasts.google.com. You could also do it on Amazon Music. They're investing money at the moment on podcast. I'm not doing much on there, but they could become a big player eventually.
I didn't realise you had to sign up with each one.
Yeah, so if you're using Cast, you need to do it manually. You need to submit your podcast to... I would recommend to do it on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Amazon. That should be enough because basically pretty much every other application pulls the information from Apple.
Okay.
So by just doing those 4, you would actually be in probably 20 podcast applications.
Okay.
Because they all pull the information from those big names.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do it on every single one. But yeah, those 4, I would say, are the most important. If you're using Red Circle or Buzzsprout, it's automatic. They do it for you.
Okay.
When you sign up, they are going to automatically submit your podcast to all the main platforms out there. So yeah, depending on the software you pick, you might have to do it yourself or not. It's honestly very easy. You create an account, you put your name, you put your description, you put your cover, you pick a category. I think our category is like documentary, people, and something like that. But yeah, you pick like, fitness, health, sports, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's it. So it's really quick. It takes honestly 5 minutes per platform. So, it's 20 minutes and that's it. And once it's done, it's done.
Okay.
You don't have to do anything every time you publish a new episode. It's all connected to your hosting. When you create your podcast on Red Circle, they're going to give you a link. It's going to be the link to your podcast. And you're going to give this link to Apple. You're going to leave this link to Spotify, to Apple Podcast, to Google Podcast. And then they're just going to automatically check. And every time there is a new episode, it will be on the application.
Yeah.
So you need to visit those websites once, and then you can forget all about them.
So then you would, on, for example, TriCast, you would press publish, and it would publish on all of them?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah, you just need to apply to submit it once, and then you can forget about it. It's always going to be up to date. If you delete an episode on your host, it will be deleted everywhere. If you change the title, it will be deleted everywhere. If you change your cover because you have a rebranding, it will be spread everywhere. You don't have to do anything. So it's very, very easy. And also, if one day you move host, so if you move from Cast to Red Circle or to Buzzsprout, all those companies have migrating tools to move from a platform to another.
Yeah.
And it's so automatic. They take care of everything.
Okay.
So it's really easy. Your episode is online. Well done.
So after all that,
you made it. You made it online.
I will be leaving links to all of this down below. If
Yeah.
you have any questions about any of this, please do let us know. Jeremy can read my comments and reply to you.
Yeah.
If you want to do any videos that are very specific about like how to do a certain thing, let us know as well. But we're not finished just yet. We also want to talk to you about some tips that we kind of have.
Yeah. And a couple of more softwares.
Oh, okay. I thought we'd finish with the software. Oh, no, yeah.
Well, no, it's more like a tip. You're good there.
Okay.
You could stop there if you want. But so before you actually put your podcast out there, I would recommend to record at least 4 or 5 episodes before you publish anything. Why? Because if you publish one episode, you publish it, then it's like, oh shit, I need to do an episode for next week. And you start this circle where like you need to catch up, you need to make sure you're not getting late, you don't miss a week or whatever. Because consistency is key. Like podcasting is all about consistency. Pick a day. It doesn't have to be every week.
No,
it could
people
be
do it once
every
a
2
month
weeks or whatever.
yeah.
But if you want any chance to grow, weekly is the minimum.
Yeah.
I'd say. Pick a day, stick with it, be consistent. If you record 4 or 5 episodes before you start, that's giving you a buffer. You know you're a month ahead if it's weekly.
I think especially if you're having guests.
Yeah.
Because it can sometimes be that you book in somebody for Monday, but then actually they have a sore tooth and go to the dentist, or actually their baby was up screaming all night, or actually they feel sick.
Yeah, or internet's not working, or
whatever it is, or like even something happens in your life or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's the same with YouTube and podcasting, anything like that. Try and stay ahead so that you do have a little bit of time if things go a little bit wrong.
It's an advice for me as well, because I'm not doing it much, but
no.
But at least when you're used to it, it's fine. Like now I've got the experience and I know I can find a guest.
Yeah.
But when you start at the beginning, you want to avoid adding stress to your process and your life. So that's why if you record as many episodes as you can before you launch, if it's January 1st, you decide to have a podcast, record the episode, and set your launch date on like February 15th. So you have a month and a half to create some vibe around the podcast, to hype it online, and then you have 4 episodes ready, and until middle of March, you're cool to record more episodes. It's just less stressful. If you're doing guests, I would recommend to use Calendly. Calendly.com. It's a scheduling website. It's free. The free plan is enough for us. You could pay for it, but you don't need to. It's just when you have guests, it's like, okay, can you do Monday 3 p.m.? Oh no, actually I've got something. Could you do 6? Oh no, I can't already have something. Okay, could you? It
There's a
can
lot of
be
back
a
and
pain in the
forth,
ass,
yeah.
a lot of back and forth. You go on Calendly, you create an account that gives you a link. You can set up your schedule. So you can say, okay, let's say you have a full-time job and you work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So you're going to say on Calendly, I can record Monday to Friday from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And on weekend all day. So you set this up, you send the link to your guest, they're going to see your availability, and they're going to pick the time and the day that they want. And it's much easier. You can connect it to your Google Calendar. So if you have a doctor appointment one day, it's automatically going to block the spot on your Calendly, so your guest won't be able to book at the same time than your doctor appointment.
They won't see you've got a doctor's
No,
appointment.
it
It'll
just won't be available.
unavailable, yeah.
Yeah. Much easier, made my life really easier, honestly. If you have guests, highly recommend this one.
Yeah.
Something you don't have to, but just, I don't know, again, I recommend this using Trello.
Jeremy's very organised.
Yeah, I like Trello. I do Trello for everything. It's an organization tool that basically gives you a chance to, you know, when you have post-it on the wall, like the little...
Yeah, post-it notes.
Yeah, post-it notes. And you're like, okay, so I need to record with this person, and you move the post-it like on the wall. You can create cards, and what I have is basically every time I think about a guest, I put it on my Trello. And every time I contact someone, I put it on my contacted. If I need to follow up with people, it's in my follow-up column. So sometimes you contact a guest and they get back to you 3 weeks later.
And then book in for like a month's time, and then that cancels.
So, you know, like you're going to forget at some point. So having a list of all the guests that you want, all the guests you contacted, all the guests that said no, all the guests that you need to follow up with because they told you in 2 months.
And
it's just easier.
You can also use it for things like, okay, like you've recorded the episode, you've edited the episode, you've uploaded the episode, it's live.
Yeah.
So you can do
you
it
can
for
have
a
all
lot
the
of
steps of
things.
the process.
Yeah, you can also do it for a lot of different things like YouTube or work or anything else. But in particular, it's good for that because if you have to keep an eye on, like, if you've got 15 different guests and then people like book in but then change and do this and that, and then you actually do like 3 in 3 days that you'll then have to editing, so you can go, okay, I've edited that one, and you can move them around a bit. So it's a really great platform to be able to organise your life, basically.
Yeah. I use it for every business that I got because it's just easier to keep track of everything. You can share it with people also, so it's practical. And again, it's free, so that's the beauty of it. Something else I would recommend is having some sort of website. If you know how to do a website, do it yourself. We did it on WordPress, so we have justinterestingpeople.com, and I've done all the designs and stuff like that. And every week I publish a new blog post to talk about the new episode. But you could also use a website called podpage.com.
Never heard of it. What does that do?
It's basically a website that very easily creates a page for your podcast. And it looks like a website, and they just take care of it. Like, it's really easy. You put your name, you put your logo, and they have like this template.
Do they use the feed thing and then put it on there as well?
Yeah, it's uploaded automatically, and it looks good, honestly. Like, it's not as good and as customizable as doing your own website, but if you have no idea how to do a website, this is the best way to have like a nice presence online where you can redirect people.
And it looks professional, doesn't it?
The thing I think just looks much better. I would also recommend to buy your domain name, so justinterestingpeople.com, so your name dot something, because you can create an email address and you can reach out to guests using this email address, and it just looks professional once again, stuff like that. So you don't have to, but it's just little things here and there to make your podcast more legit, basically.
On the website, we don't have a lot on there either. We have like the homepage, a contact page, I think maybe an about me page.
Yeah.
And then just like the episodes. So every time we release a new episode, Jeremy creates a new blog post and that goes on there, which hopefully, I don't know if it does it help get found or?
Because if people
like the keywords
type some keywords that are related to the episode, they will be able to find us. It's just more presence on Google and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also we have a branding, we control everything there. So if all the application disappear for some reason, you can listen. You can listen to the episodes on your website.
Yeah.
Like, everything is there and it's ours. So we don't rely on anyone else.
So we've talked about the podcast platforms. We talked about the website. We also have YouTube, which we started recently. So you have to manually upload the video to there. It doesn't automatically do it like it does with the podcast things.
Yeah.
You have to manually upload the video to YouTube.
Well, actually, if you pay for Red Circle, but if you pay, one of the tiers, one of the plan that they have a YouTube integration. So you can, when you publish your podcast, you post the video on Red Circle and they publish it on YouTube automatically.
Okay, take back what I just said.
But we don't pay for it, so no. But I don't think it's necessary.
No,
it's like
if you wouldn't pay
paying just for that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
because you still have to upload it on the website anyway.
Yeah.
So
okay, so if you don't use Red Circle, if you don't pay for it, you upload the video yourself, and you can schedule on YouTube as well, so it comes out at the same time every week.
Yeah.
The reason we decided to do YouTube was for people like me who don't particularly like to listen to podcasts but like to watch them. To find a new audience, because a lot of people are on... Oh, thanks, my hand was getting crampy. To find a new audience, because there's some people who don't listen to podcasts, like I said, but do want to watch videos. And also for the algorithm.
Yeah, YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world after Google. So...
Yeah, so if people are searching like specific things... Hopefully they might find our videos on there and then want to subscribe.
If they type,
and
I don't know, like something about mental health, they might find the episode released yesterday.
Yeah.
So if you're good with keyword and everything, it's... Yeah, and also, YouTube eventually can be monetized. So it can also be a way to monetize your podcast.
The other one is Instagram. We do have the Instagram handle, Just Interesting People, if you want to go ahead and follow us on there. We've played about with that. It's interesting to see the progression, because at the beginning we had the crappy logo that we did and then we'd have quotes, and then we changed our style and changed it again, so it's kind of evolved a little bit. But again, it's quite a nice place because we interview different people every week. It's quite nice for them to have a place to come and have a look at other guests without necessarily having to listen to all the episodes. It's also somewhere we can post reels and reels. We can post photographs, we can post quotes, we can post kind of anything to do with the podcast on there. So if there's any updates, like we posted our new logo on there, I'm sure we did. Any updates to do with that, you can post on Instagram and connect directly with your audience if they follow you on there.
And it's just one of the advantages to have guests is that people are going to find out about your website if they don't know you.
Yeah.
Through the guest. So if you tag your guest, they're going to share it, hopefully, and their audience is going to find out about the podcast. So it's a way to reach to people that have never heard about you before.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention is growth. So talking to different people, interviewing different people is a great way to grow, because like Jeremy said, first of all, we're talking to lots of different people, which is amazing, but also they're sharing that they're on a podcast, so then their circle listens to the podcast and hopefully kind of subscribes or comes back. Another thing to make sure you share your episodes. We're still not great at this, but every week to kind of do a story, be like, hi guys, we just talked to this person, whoa, go and listen to it, here's a link. Especially now on Instagram stories, you can do the link in the stories. It's worth doing that with a link for people to go ahead and listen to it. That's something we need to work on a little bit more. Yeah,
I've heard like Pat Flynn says something along the line of you should be spending at least the same amount of time promoting than creating. And it's true, like, if you record an episode a week and you edit it, that's 2 or 3 hours. If it's to spend 5 minutes promoting it, why are you spending so much time creating something that no one is going to find?
Yeah.
So you should spend more time, ideally the same amount of time promoting than creating. We don't do it because it's just not something I enjoy doing, to be honest. But it's if you are doing your podcast with the intention of growing the podcast or potentially it becoming in business and everything, you need to take this part of it seriously, because it's very hard as a podcaster only to grow organically. Now, YouTube is good, but podcast app don't have such a good algorithm and such a good discoverability tools. Yeah. So you need to promote the hell of your podcast if you want to make it out there.
Next thing is to be consistent. We kind of touched on this earlier. So pick a day and stick to it. Try and do, like we said, 5 episodes so that you can get started and have 5 weeks worth done. But just pick a day and stick with it. Same with YouTube. Make sure that you're consistent with your schedule and you plan ahead, you record ahead, you make sure you get it done, because I think, once you start growing, people will be like, oh, yes, it's Monday, I get to listen to that podcast, or yeah, it's Wednesday, I get to listen to that one, and you don't want to let people down and start, posting on a Thursday or a Tuesday or not posting at all. And I think it just, I don't know, it makes your brand more authentic, but also more reliable, and people actually want to come back because they know there's going to be new content, whereas if they're not quite sure, they might not check anyway. So it's good to be consistent.
Yeah, it's also a way to hold you accountable. You have to record for Wednesday.
Yeah.
If you keep pushing it, you're going to push it eventually for an unlimited amount of time. So it's a good way to be consistent and
put the pressure on yourself a little
bit.
bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Last thing is to have fun.
Yeah.
After all that boring nonsense, no, have fun with it. And if any of this seems too hard and you've got the finances, you can also outsource, doing a website, doing the uploading, sorting out all these things. Find someone who can do it for you. Find someone to do your branding for you.
Podcast producer is a job.
Yeah, well, so you can find someone like that. If you just want to literally sit and talk to your phone and have someone else put it online, I'm sure you can find someone to do that. But the main thing is to have fun, do something that you want to do, talk to people you want to talk to, talk about something you want to talk about, maybe something you're interested in, maybe something you want to learn about or teach other people. It shouldn't really be, I always say it, it shouldn't be a job, really.
Yeah, like we said every time, is we do it for ourselves and we publish it.
Yeah, we just love having these conversations.
We would carry on even if we would stop publishing, probably, because every conversation that we have, we learn from it and we get value from it. So we thought, okay, we might as well share it. But yeah, we do it for ourselves. It's fun. So if you don't want to do it, if it's like, oh, I have to record, not a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know that was a very long video with lots of information. Thank you, Jeremy, for being here and teaching us all. Like I said before, if you do have any questions, please do leave them in the comment section down below. I'll make sure that Jeremy answers them for you. If you want to do any specific videos, like I said, in terms of can you please show me exactly how to use that recording device thing, or how exactly you use Riverside, and how do you edit, and how do you do this, that, and the other. We can possibly create some more videos if Jeremy's up for doing that. But yeah, we really hope this was useful. Let us know in the comment section down below if you have a podcast, if you're starting, if this was helpful, if we encouraged you to get going. Please do let us know. We love talking to you guys in the comment section. And otherwise, we'll be back, I was going to say next Wednesday, with a brand new episode. That's the podcast ending. No, I'll be back on Monday with a new YouTube video. It's hard doing all those different things. But no, I hope it was useful. I really hope it was. I'm sure it was. There was so much information there.
Follow our channel.
That's the thing. I'll leave that link down below.
We only have 30 followers, so
yeah, we're doing well though. We're doing well. I will, like I said, everything is going to link down below. All the products, all the websites, your podcast, our podcast. Your YouTube channel. Everything's going to be linked down below. Okay. Thank you for watching. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.